Good afternoon, guys. We'll take up the next topic for that particular unit, acute toxicity uh, and management and treatment of that poisoning with the different agent. In last class, we have studied about the poisoning with the salicylic acid. So, as we have discussed about the what could be the possibility that it may lead to the poisoning, and we know that salicylic acid is one of the category of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug. Then we have studied about the specific about the salicylic acid. Now what we study is the commonly how all this, like as you know, there are various category of the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug. You have various example like diclofenac sodium. It is just one example. Like that, you have many of example which belongs to the NSAID class. So they here we'll studied about the altogether what could be the possible poisoning which may lead to the toxicity with the NSAID. So as you know, like this non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug commonly used for the analgesic, antipyretic, and anti-inflammatory drug. Okay, so as name all itself suggests, and they are basically a very common OTC product, like over-the-counter product. You may get easily. You do not require the prescription. You will get easily. But in general, if you see that product, OTC product, there in that one small label or a small bracket, they will mention that to be taken only with the prescription of registered medical practitioner. So reason behind that, because this old drug which are easy available as a OTC product, so this may be a harmful after a certain level of doses. It is not like that, yeah, it is available as a OTC product, so it might not having the any kind of adverse effect or any kind of toxicity associated with them. So this is what see aging population. You can see here the first sentence that aging population using NACID and easy availability OTC. So aging population, as you know, like many of at your home only, you can see there will be availability of any product. For example, if in the combination of diclofenac sodium and paracetamol tablet, and most of the time many of combination drugs which are easily available at the home for like mild headache, fever, and all those things, this as a home medicine. Okay, so but what will happen, why this may lead to the poisoning? Because they are frequently they have been used as a misuse. Okay, so misuse here nothing but, like if you as a, if you remember in the last class also we have discussed the same thing, that many of time people will have that common like mild headache or anything. So for that mild headache, if you require a dose of 100 mg, I'm quoting example like 100 mg, 200 mg if they require, but in that place if they are consuming like 500 mg, and that too twice or thrice in a day, in case of like BD twice in a day, so this could be lead to a misuse of that OTC product and non-compliance. So this is what you are not complying with the particular dosage regimen, and you have been taking without consulting a physician, and this may lead to the acute toxicity and chronic poisoning. And because how they may lead to this kind of any of acute or chronic, because they having the high protein binding nature. Because of what will happen, they have longer duration of action, or their plasma half life is more. For example, here I quoted two example like naproxen, one of the drug which could be used for the headache or some migraine like thing problem, and phenylbutazone for like it is having half life of 50 to 100 hours. So what will happen, so here if you consider this thing non compliance and frequently misuse, suppose if naproxen having the 9 to 20 hours, so doctor will prescribe once in a day, because they know about their what is the half life. But if you are taking as a OTC product, or you are non compliant with that, if you consume two tablet in a day, so you can consider like how could be or how it may lead to the acute kind of toxicity. So before we go into the deep, so I'll just tell you what is basic of this NSAID and toxicity, and how this may lead to the poisoning thing. Okay. See, as you know, this non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs are structurally similar or diverse group of drugs with their common mechanism of action. So mainly, they will act via the reversible inhibition of cyclooxygenase enzyme. As you know, there are two pathways, COX-1 and COX-2. So they will inhibit, depending upon, like most of the drug are inhibitor of COX-1 and most of the drug are inhibitor of COX-2. So they will act via the common mechanism of action like reversible inhibition of cyclooxygenase. And they are most commonly or extensively they are using for the analgesic, antipyretic and anti-inflammatory property. And they are available both as a prescription and over the counter medication, and available in most of the like single pharmaceutical preparation, or some of the time as a combination along with the analgesic product. And sometimes you have seen many of the uh, product like cough and cold product where you can find this NSAID as a one of the ingredient in that particular formulation. So so what will happen, because of the availability of, see, if they are along with like if you say it, if it is available as a cough and cold product, and simultaneously if in the cough and cold tablet preparation it is available as a 100 mg of diclofenac sodium, but if you are again taking the diclofenac for separately for the headache at the same time, so it may lead to the 500 plus 100 600 mg, so it is increasing the dose. So this may lead to the non-compliance of the product. So now we see what is this epidemiology of acute toxicity which has been associated with NSAID poisoning. See, NSAID are commonly ingested in overdose in many areas of the world. It is not like that it will be no, it will be a like commonly like for a single particular area, so it is like worldwide. So one of the report which will be published by the American Association of Poison Control Center, that name is National Poison Data System, which show that analgesics were the most common category of drug in acute overdose in adult patients. Like 10% of people are on the risk, and the second most common in the pediatric patient, that is 9%. So you can see here like aging population, so therefore it mentioned that aging population because they may having the more chances of acute overdose, like 10% in the adult patients. So most commonly like if we consider as a NSAID altogether, and if we take one certain example, so in that acetaminophen alone or in the combination with some of the product which are most common in the analgesic in nature, it may consist of the acute overdose in the 42%. Okay. See, acetaminophen alone or in combination with any other product which having the analgesic as a property, so they may lead into the acute overdose, that too up to 42%, and with NSAID contributing to 33% of reported analgesic acute ingestion. Okay. And then next most common product of this NSAID like ibuprofen. So this ibuprofen is the one of the most common NSAID which has been taken in the overdose, that will be considered as a 81%, followed by the one of the drug which mentioned here naproxen, which will contribute up to the 11%. So and this data, it is data they have reported into a 2010. So but this data still has not changed significantly from the last decade. So you can understand like from the last decade this data remain the same. So people need to be aware about like about this kind of toxicity, how they may lead to the severe kind of like chronic poisoning. And this kind of situation about like what we have just now, we have discussed about the American Association of Poisoning Center. The same similar data, it has been represented into the United Kingdom also. There also acetaminophen is the most common agent which involved in poisoning inquiry to the both at the National Poison Informative Service like as a telemedicine, like in the telemedicine, it has been reported as 10.2% of people are having the acute toxicity which has been associated with the acetaminophen, and some of the database like toxicity database which can be accessible, there it has been mentioned that 6.3% of people who are consuming this acetaminophen, they are the most common choice of drug for the overdose. And the most second, the second most common drug is that ibuprofen, which consists of, as a telephone inquiry, it in the pharmacovigilance survey, it has mentioned that 4.7% people are having the toxicity which has been associated with the ibuprofen. So you can see in the USA and in the UK, these two products like ibuprofen and acetaminophen are the more common NSAID drug which may lead to the acute toxicity. So, what is this pharmacology? So, if you guys studied in the your third year, that second year, wherever it has been mentioned, see, the pharmacology of this particular product, the therapeutic and many of these toxic effect of the NSAID result from the reversible inhibition of enzyme which is known as cyclooxygenase group. And this may lead to the, or this may result in the decrease in the synthesis of prostaglandin and thromboxane, especially A2 from the precursor arachidonic acid. So this prostaglandin have a wide variety of effects within the body. They act on the thermoregulatory center within the hypothalamus to produce fever and are involved in the regulation of inflammatory mediator and the sensitization of pain fiber. So therefore, what will happen? This NSAID, they are going to inhibit all this effect in responsible for the therapeutic effect of NSAID as antipyretic, anti-inflammatory, and analgesic agents. So, but most of the time, what will happen? This prostaglandin also play an integral role in the maintaining of the GI mucosal integrity and renal blood flow rate, and they are also important in the mediating platelet aggregation. So you can understand is the pharmacology mechanism. See, if they are going to reversibly inhibit the cyclooxygenase, so they are going to directly affecting the prostaglandin and thromboxane A2 pathway. So as you know, like prostaglandin is the main component which will be considered as a having the white where like they will act on the thermoregulatory center within the hypothalamus. So therefore, whenever you are giving the dose, NSAID dose, so it may having that effect as an antipyretic. So this is just a common mechanism of pharmacology. And when we consider about its mechanism of toxicity, how this NSAID may lead to the toxicity. So the mechanism of toxicity of NSAID in overdose appears to predominantly be as a result of excessive inhibition of COX-1 and subsequent reduction in prostaglandin synthesis. So just now we have understand that prostaglandin, it is one of the agent which will maintain the your hyper thermoregulatory center in the within the hypothalamus. But apart from this, they have also play an integral role in the maintaining GI mucosal integrity and renal blood flow, which will important role in the mediating platelet aggregation. So what will happen if your NSAID in overdose may going to inhibit this COX-1, so they are going to inhibit the excessive inhibition of COX-1. So what will happen? There will be a less synthesis of prostaglandin. So what will happen if there is a reduction in the prostaglandin synthesis? The metabolic acidosis seen in severe NSAID toxicity, it is not related to COX inhibition but to the accumulation of acidic metabolites. Why? Because just now we have seen that it is also affecting the GI mucosal integrity. Therefore, what will happen? It may lead to the accumulation of acidic metabolites. So the GI, renal, and central nervous system are predominantly affected both in the therapeutic use as well as in the acute overdose. So GI adverse effect most commonly occur via the two main mechanism. So first one is that commonly that prostaglandin inhibition, which result in the less or reduced mucus and bicarbonate synthesis. So it is going to affect, or it may lead to the decrease in the gastric blood flow and the promotion of acid production. So as you commonly observe, if you are taking any kind of NSAID drug, you may have that acidity or minor. Sometimes if you take acute overdose, so that time you have severe acidity or severe burning sensation. And one of the common thing, if you, or if you consult any person who was like specialized in the gastrology, so you can ask them, like whenever any person who is taking the overdose or like long term of this NSAID, so they may develop ulcer in their GI. So because this may lead, because of what will happen, they will promote the acid production if you take this NSAID either in a therapeutic dose or acute overdose. So this is the main reason. And the NSAID are also recognized to be directly cytotoxic to the gastric mucosa. So in chronic use, what will happen? This result in the GI symptom ranging from the nausea and mild epigastric discomfort to the gastric or duodenal ulceration. Just now I told you guys, and gastrointestinal hemorrhage. So you can see many of people like uh, if they will be having this kind of ulcer, if they have been not like this simple thing could be lead to a severe threat. How? Because if any person who are continuously consuming this NSAID and they will develop the gastric ulcer into their body, GI or duodenum or any part, so what will happen if they are not easily identified? Sometime what will happen? This ulcer will burst into their stomach, so it may lead to the bleeding into the motion. So what will happen if continuously bleeding will be there into the motion? So person may become anemic and their hemoglobin level suddenly will drop down. So again, see, if as you guys already aware that if sudden loss of blood or there will be anemic condition, so person may having the vertigo like, and they may feel the weakness, all those things. So immediate blood transfusion is required. So you can understand that how a small thing could convert into the severe complication. So this is what it means. It meant to say. So this mechanism are also responsible for the GI feature seen in the acute overdose. So similarly, if overdose will be there, similar symptom you can see. But if you consider as a therapeutic dose, after a long consumption of this kind of agent, which may having the same kind of symptom into the any human being. And the nephrotoxicity can be seen both with therapeutic use of NSAID and NSAID overdose, which is related to the vasodilatory effect of prostaglandin on renal arterioles. So what will happen if you know like vasodilation will be there, so they may lead to the less blood supply, hypotension may be one of the most common complication. So this may lead to the this kind of condition. Okay, so NSAID nephrotoxicity is unlikely to occur at therapeutic dose as prostaglandin role will be in the preservation of renal blood flow is negligible. But what will happen? That patient with low intravascular volume, like example, if you take vomiting in overdose or high level of angiotensin, for example, patient with the heart failure or prostaglandin contribution to the maintenance of adequate blood flow could be a more significant. So in patient, there will be a chance that maintaining of this glomerular filtration rate and inhibition could having the possibility that it may lead to the renal failure. So this is what nephrotoxicity will be associated. So just now we have discussed that how NSAID mechanism of toxicity, like one could be into the lead to the ulceration because there will be a chance of promotion of more acid. So this one thing, and the second thing, nephrotoxicity, how? Because it may lead to the more of the vasodilation and all those things. So next thing we'll see how it may lead to the toxic mechanism, like if there is a metabolic acidosis. So how metabolic acidosis will be there? See, whenever there will be a high anion gap will be there, so this could be recognized following large doses or overdose of NaCid and occur due to the accumulation of acidic metabolite. So large overdose may be responsible for the metabolic acidosis, and this acidosis may also be exacerbated by the vomiting and alcohol ingestion. So you can see, you can consider contraindication of NaCid is if any patient who or any person who are consuming alcohol and simultaneously they are consuming the NaCid along with that, so it may lead to the metabolic acidosis. So these are the some of the mechanism which may lead to the toxicity. So uh, this if you have any query or doubt, you can ask here. Any doubt you have?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll move then next. See, incidence of poisoning. So, incidence could be like type of NaCid, amount, time, and co-ingested drug decide the seriousness of poisoning. So, just now we have seen that contraindication of NaCid is that if you are consuming with the this alcohol, so it may lead to the more severe metabolic acidosis, and type of NaCid and amount. So it's again depends. So just now we have seen in the last slide or we have discussed. See, this NaCid is commonly identifying the most of the combination product, and if you are taking again along with that product other proper or one single NaCid drug, so it will increase the dose into your body that particular NaCid. And if it is having the long half life, if you consider example of naproxen, which is having half life is 9 to 20 hours, so if you are simultaneously if you are consuming more, so it may having the more accumulation into your body, so it may again decide that what kind of seriousness of poisoning you can see. So what are the common and non-specific symptoms? See, nausea, vomiting, because they are affecting the commonly gastric mucosal damage, and then you have dizziness and sometimes neurological symptom, and several diagnostic tests will be performed, like it may be lead to the decrease in the blood sugar level. There will be a alteration in the ECG, and renal function test will be on the baseline, like if you have said uric acid, blood urea nitrogen, serum creatinine. So all this, as you know, like if creatinine level borderline will be considered at 1.32 mg per deciliter, and urea level will be at the 40 to 50 mg unit per deciliter. Okay, so these are the some of the parameter or which are the baseline renal functions. So if they are on the more side, like if creatine level is the at the 2 mg per dl, so it may be having that alarming situation if any person will having the NaCid poisoning. And there will be a hemoglobin test, so you can correlate this hemoglobin test with that gastric ulcer, because what will happen that if ulcer will be there, it by chance if they burst into your stomach, so there will be a continuous loss of blood, so your hemoglobin level will suddenly drop down, and their platelet number and acid base status of arterial blood sample, and sometimes it may be consumption as a suicidal in a large dose. But this suicidal large dose can be here it is like in chronic overdose, if dose is more like more than 2000 3000 mg, that time it will be a consider in that particular status. So it is when person having the some of the mental like illness, so that time it will be considered as a suicidal large doses. So what are the acute toxicity of this NaCid? See, minimum and non-specific symptom which we have seen, that nausea, vomiting, dizziness and blood version. And then what is the severity depends on the serum level. See, if it is the 400 mg per kg and above, then there will be again chances of severe toxicity. So some of the drugs like ibuprofen, naproxen, and phenylbutadiene, and one more you can consider here, acetaminophen. These drugs produces more of this acid-based normal abnormality, which manifesting as a lactic acidosis. So can you anybody tell what is this lactic acidosis is the most common adverse effect of which following drug? If you remember, it is a more common drug which are available into the market, and this is the most common adverse effect, lactic acidosis. Anybody? Okay, one hint will be there. It will be under the anti-diabetic drug. Now at least someone can have answer.
Metformin, sir.
Yeah, correct. So lactic acidosis is one of the most common adverse effect of metformin drug, and it will be appearing after consumption.
Metformin, sir.
Yeah, correct. Metformin, correct. So this metformin is one of the most common adverse effect which is associated with the drug like metformin, lactic acidosis, and it will be appear after the 5 to 7 years of consumption of the metformin. So what will happen in this lactic acidosis? Any person who are consuming as an anti-diabetic drug this metformin, so they may have that early morning there is a motions like 5 to 7 times loose motion will be there. So there people could not differentiate why this loose motion is happening, because most of the people are not aware about the situation, that what could be the adverse effect, what could be the severe side effect and all those things. So people having the just general tendency, okay, because maybe I had something spicy or some food like which is not suitable for their stomach, so therefore they may have this kind of motion and all those things. But what will happen actually, that person who was taking for the from last 5 to 7 years that metformin could result in the lactic acidosis. And one more thing, because we are talking about the toxicity and all those things, and the just topic came of that metformin, so I want to tell you one few lines about that metformin. See, as a clinical pharmacist, as you guys, like when you work as a clinical pharmacist in the hospital, so you need to know about this metformin. See, as you guys know that nowadays metformin is most of the time available as a extended release form, sustained release form, and also with the along with the combination with the DPP4 inhibitor, like you have that sitagliptin, linagliptin, vildagliptin, all those things. So along with that metformin combination is there, because why? Because it is a considered as a one of the best first line therapy for the any person of the type 2 diabetes mellitus. But same time, what will happen if you are not doing review continuously with the, or you are not meeting with the doctor properly on the time, like every 3 month or 6 month checkup? So this metformin actually having the one of the disadvantage that after 7 years or 6 to 7 years they may be become a resistant to your body. So what will happen? See, as you guys know, like type 2 diabetes mellitus may lead to the secondary complication. It could be a microvascular or macrovascular kind of secondary complication. So what will happen if you are continuously on the same treatment like metformin only? So after 6 to 7 years, they become resistant. So your body will, like only what will happen, they may not have that proper anti-diabetic effect. So what will happen? Your other vital organ may be targeted due to the insulin and over release of. So you know about the type 2 diabetes, how a deficiency of insulin will be there, so it will be affecting the secondary organ. So therefore it may lead to the secondary complication. And most of the patient, if you read some article about the diabetic end stage renal, so what will happen, as per the one of the statistic or data, like in the United States, 50% of population which are on the type 2 diabetes, they may having the mortality due to the end stage renal disease, because they may develop the nephropathy as a secondary complication in that if they will be diagnosed on the time after a decade, if they identify or diagnose with the nephropathy, if they are on the proper treatment, okay. And sometimes if you're not identified, so it may lead to the severe threat like chronic renal failure. And one more complication is that cardiopathy, a secondary complication of this type 2 diabetes mellitus. So in the one of the survey has been conducted by the American Association of Heart. So there they have mentioned that most of the people, like many of people, if they are comparing with the people who are having only myocardial infarction, not type 2 diabetes, but the person who having the type 2 diabetes and they develop the secondary complication of cardiopathy like myocardial infarction, so they are on the more risk, or they are on the more end of this the mortality when you compare to the only myocardial infarction without type 2 diabetes mellitus. So this is what it may lead to the severe condition if you are not monitoring the drug therapy properly. So this is what I just need to mention here because that point has come. So as you can see here, that lactic acidosis, it can lead to the cardiac arrhythmia and electrolyte abnormality, and sometimes rarely it may lead to the acute renal failure, because what we have just seen that they sometimes what will happen in the overdose, it may affecting the renal because there will be a affecting the glomerular filtration rate and all those things, but rarely. So if they are rarely, it may leading to, so it may leading to the renal papillary necrosis, which could be also rare but can be reduced renal function, which may lead to the elevated in the serum creatinine level, hyperalkemia, and decrease in the urine output. That is what glomerular filtration rate, because since NSAID inhibit vasodilatory prostaglandin, so therefore it may having the all this kind of adverse effect. So next you can see that variable CNS toxicity. So this observed only with ibuprofen ranging from drowsiness to coma. Seizure, especially due to the overdose with ibuprofen, phenylbutazone, diclofenac, indomethacin and mefenamic acid. And other CNS symptom could be ataxia, nystagmus and headache, ache, disorientation, etc. So these are the symptoms which could be associated with mainly some of the drug like ibuprofen, diclofenac and all this kind of agent. So can anybody tell what is nystagmus? What is nystag? No. See, it is nothing but it is an involuntary eye movement which can cause the eye to rapidly move from side to side, up and down, or in circle, and may having the slightly blur vision, which is known as nystagmus. Okay, and this all because these are all the lead to having the part of the CNS toxicity. And then we see the hematological toxicity. So they are observed mainly with the ibuprofen, especially it may lead to the aplastic anemia or granulocytosis, and sometimes they have that allergic reaction also, especially observed in asthmatic and worsening of urticaria leading to the anaphylactic shock. So these are the some of the symptoms. So how you manage the any person with the acute toxicity of NSAID? See, there will be like first of all you need to restore the vital sign and symptom. So like especially breath and circulation. Then you have to maintain the apnea, like shortness of breath, hypertension should be treated, or if required, then go for the artificial respiration. And supportive therapy like gut decontamination with activated charcoal, multiple doses could be effective. And some of the supportive measure like to correct the metabolic acidosis and reduce frequency and severity of seizures with the benzodiazepine. And hemodialysis here is ineffective, so it will be like not considered as an appropriate treatment if any kind of manage, because as we have seen that renal failure is in a rare choice, and there will be a not it is not like that severe renal failure or chronic renal failure, because they may lead to the either decrease in the urine output or some of the elevated levels, so which can be controlled with the help of the medication only. So these are the just general consideration about the poisoning with the NaCid. So NaCid, I'll just briefly revise. So NaCid is nothing but it is a drug which could be used for the analgesic, anti-inflammatory, antipyretic, and easily available as a OTC product. And it could having the severe side effect because there will be a non-compliance and overdoses, and how it will be having the effect because they are going to affect the having the mechanism reversible inhibition of cyclooxygenase. But if acute dose will be there, so there will be a severe inhibition of there, so it may lead to the gastric mucosa decrease, so it may lead to the ulceration, so followed by you may having the acidosis. So this is how it may lead to the severe toxicity either in a therapeutic dose for a longer period and acute overdose at a time only. And there are various type of symptoms, and you can treat with the followed by the management, you need to restore the vital function, artificial respiration required, you can go for gut decontamination, other supportive therapy. Okay, this is what, any doubt you have about this?
No, sir.
Okay, okay, so thank you.
Thank you, sir.